The awakening of hope. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Captain Aria Chen as she stood at the helm of the starship Prometheus. The sleek vessel, a marvel of human engineering, glided silently through the cosmic void. It had been 3 millennia since the fall of Earth, and humanity's thirst for vengeance had only grown stronger with each passing generation. Aria's dark eyes scanned the holographic displays surrounding her, searching for any sign of the alien menace that had destroyed their homeworld. The ship's advanced sensors probed the depths of space, seeking out the faintest traces of their enemies. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Marcus Reeves from his station, "we're picking up an anomalous reading in Sector 7 Gamma." Aria's brow furrowed as she processed the information. "Elaborate, Lieutenant. What kind of anomaly are we dealing with?" Marcus's fingers danced across his console, bringing up detailed scans on the main view screen. "It appears to be a gravitational distortion, ma'am. Similar to what we'd expect from a cloaking field, but different somehow." Intrigued, Aria stepped closer to the display. "Different how?" "The energy signature is unlike anything in our database," Marcus replied, his voice tinged with excitement and apprehension. "It's not Xeraxian in origin, that's for certain." The mention of the Xeraxians sent a shiver down Aria's spine. The alien race responsible for Earth's destruction had become the bogeyman of human culture, a name whispered in fear and rage. But if this anomaly wasn't their doing, what could it be? "Helm, set a course for the anomaly," Aria commanded. "Tactical, keep our weapons hot. We don't know what we're dealing with here." As the Prometheus altered its trajectory, tension filled the bridge. The crew, hardened veterans of countless battles and long years of searching, knew that every encounter could be the one that led them to their ultimate goal: retribution for Earth. As they approached the coordinates of the anomaly, the distortion became visible to the naked eye. A shimmering curtain of energy hung in space, rippling like water disturbed by an unseen stone. "Full stop," Aria ordered. "Launch a probe. Let's see what we're dealing with before we commit ourselves." A small, sleek probe detached from the Prometheus, its thrusters guiding it toward the mysterious phenomenon. As it approached, the energy field seemed to pulse, reacting to the probe's presence. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Captain," Marcus shouted, "the field is expanding." Before Aria could issue an order, the shimmering curtain of energy engulfed the Prometheus. For a moment, everything went dark. When the lights flickered back to life, Aria gasped at the sight before her. Where empty space had been moments before, a massive space station now hung suspended against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. Its architecture was unmistakably human, but far more advanced than anything Aria had ever seen. "By the spirits of Earth," whispered Commander Zara Wong, Aria's second-in-command, "what is this place?" As if in answer to her question, a transmission crackled through the ship's speakers. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." Aria exchanged glances with her crew before stepping forward. "This is Captain Aria Chen of the starship Prometheus. We are humans from the Exodus fleet." A long pause followed her words. When the voice returned, it was filled with disbelief and hope. "Humans? From beyond the veil. Stand by for docking instructions. Welcome home, lost children of Earth." As the Prometheus was guided into a cavernous docking bay, Aria's mind raced with questions. How had this station remained hidden for so long? Who were these people who claimed to be human but possessed technology far beyond their own? The airlock hissed open, and Aria led a small team onto the station. They were greeted by a group of individuals dressed in sleek, iridescent uniforms. At their head stood a tall woman with silver hair and piercing green eyes. "I am Admiral Lyra Novak," she introduced herself. "Welcome to Haven, the last bastion of Old Earth." Aria's team exchanged shocked glances. "Old Earth," Aria repeated. "But Earth was destroyed. We've spent generations searching for a way to avenge its fall." Admiral Novak's expression softened. Earth fell, yes, but not all was lost. Come, there is much to explain. As they were led through gleaming corridors, Arya marveled at the advanced technology surrounding them. Holographic displays flickered with information, and gravity seemed to shift subtly as they moved, suggesting a level of environmental control far beyond anything the Exodus fleet possessed. They entered a vast chamber dominated by a holographic projection of the galaxy. Admiral Novak waved her hand, and the image zoomed in on a familiar solar system. 3,000 years ago, she began, when the Exaraxian fleet descended upon Earth, a plan was already in motion. Our ancestors had long suspected that we were not alone in the universe, and they prepared for the worst. The hologram showed Earth under attack, great beams of energy lancing down from orbit. But beneath the surface, something was happening. While the surface burned, deep underground, the best and brightest of humanity were sealed away in stasis, Novak continued. Along with them, the distilled knowledge and technology of our species were preserved. Arya's mind reeled at the implications, but the planet was destroyed. We saw it crack apart. Novak nodded solemnly. What you saw was real, but it wasn't the whole truth. As Earth's crust was shattered, a hidden engine of immense power activated. It tore a hole in spacetime, transporting a fragment of the planet's core, and all of us within it, to this distant corner of the galaxy. The hologram shifted, showing the journey of this planetary arc across vast stretches of space. We awoke centuries later, Novak explained. Since then, we've been rebuilding, advancing our technology, and searching for other survivors. We knew some had escaped, but until now, we've never made contact. Arya felt a mix of emotions wash over her, relief at finding more of her people, anger at the deception, and hope for what this could mean for their cause. Admiral, she said, her voice thick with emotion, the Exodus fleet has spent millennia preparing for our return, to reclaim what was taken from us. With your advanced technology, surely now we stand a chance against the Exaraxians. Novik's expression grew grave. Captain Chen, there's something you need to understand about the Exaraxians. They're not what you think they are. With another gesture, the hologram changed to show a fearsome alien visage, the face that had haunted humanity's nightmares for 3,000 years. The Exaraxians were not our true enemy, Novik revealed. They were pawns, manipulated by a far greater threat. We call them the Shadows, and they've been orchestrating conflicts across the galaxy for millions of years. The image shifted again, showing tendrils of dark energy weaving through the galactic map, connecting points of conflict and destruction. Our war, Novik continued, is not just about vengeance. It's about the survival of all sentient life in the galaxy. And now that you're here, we can finally take the fight to them. Arya stood in stunned silence, trying to process this paradigm shift. Everything she had believed, everything that had driven her and her people for millennia, was being challenged. What would you have us do? She asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Novik's eyes blazed with determination. Join us, Captain Chen. Bring the Exodus fleet to haven. Together, we'll unlock the full potential of humanity's legacy and face the true threat that looms over us all. As Arya looked around at her team, she saw the same mix of shock, hope, and resolve reflected in their eyes. They had come seeking vengeance, but they had found so much more, a new purpose, a greater calling. Admiral Novak, Arya said, drawing herself up to her full height, on behalf of the Exodus fleet, I accept your invitation. It's time for humanity to stand united once more. As the words left her lips, Arya felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. The path ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but for the first time in 3,000 years, the scattered children of Earth had a real chance to shape their destiny. The awakening of hope had begun, and with it, the next chapter in humanity's epic struggle for survival and redemption in a hostile universe. The Alliance Forge. The news of Haven's existence spread through the Exodus fleet like wildfire. Ships from all corners of known space converged on the hidden station, Each arrival met with a mixture of jubilation and disbelief. Captain Area Chen found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity, liaising between Admiral Novak and the leaders of the fleet. In the days that followed their initial contact, Area spent countless hours in strategy meetings, poring over intelligence reports and technological schematics that boggled the mind. The advancements made by the Haven scientists over the millennia were nothing short of miraculous. It's called quantum entanglement propulsion. Dr. Ilara Voss, Haven's chief scientist, explained as she guided Area through a holographic representation of a sleek spacecraft. It allows for near-instantaneous travel across vast distances by exploiting the principles of quantum mechanics. Area marveled at the implications. With this technology, we could strike at the heart of enemy territory without warning. Dr. Voss nodded, her expression grave. Yes, but remember, Captain, the shadows are unlike any foe we've faced before. They exist partially outside of our reality, which makes conventional warfare problematic. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. Admiral Novak's voice came over the comm system. All personnel to battle stations. Unidentified vessels approaching at high speed. Area and Dr. Voss rushed to the command center, where they found Admiral Novak coordinating the station's defenses. The main view screen showed a swarm of sleek, black ships cutting through space towards Haven. Shadow probes, Novak explained tersely. They must have detected the energy surge from your arrival. Area watched in awe as Haven's defense systems sprang to life. Beams of coherent light lashed out, cutting through the void and striking the incoming ships with unerring accuracy. But for every probe destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. We can't hold them off indefinitely, Commander Wong reported, her fingers flying over her console. Our energy reserves are depleting rapidly. Just as the situation seemed most dire, a new voice crackled over the comm. Haven Station, this is Captain Jorak of the Galactic Confederation. We stand ready to assist. A cheer went up from the bridge crew as a massive starship decloaked near the station, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence. Streams of fighter craft poured from its hangars, engaging the shadow probes with weapons unlike anything Area had ever seen. With the combined might of Haven, the Exodus fleet, and their unexpected allies, the tide of battle quickly turned. The remaining shadow probes retreated, vanishing into the depths of space as quickly as they had appeared. In the aftermath of the skirmish, Captain Jorak and a delegation from the Galactic Confederation were welcomed aboard Haven. Area found herself face to face with beings she had only dreamed of. A diverse array of alien species, each more fantastic than the last. Jorak himself was a towering figure, his 4 arms moving with fluid grace as he bowed in greeting. We have long watched the children of Earth, he said, his voice a melodious trill. Your resilience in the face of adversity is most impressive. Admiral Novak stepped forward, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. We are grateful for your assistance, Captain Jorak. But I must ask, why reveal yourselves now, after all this time? The alien captain's multifaceted eyes shimmered with what Area interpreted as concern. The shadows grow bolder with each passing cycle, he explained. Their influence spreads like a cancer across the galaxy. We have come to propose an alliance, not just with Haven, but with all of humanity. The implications of his words hung heavy in the air. Area found her voice, asking the question that burned in everyone's minds. An alliance to do what exactly? Jorak turned his gaze to her, and Area felt the weight of millennia in his stare. To end the threat of the shadows once and for all. To forge a future where all sentient beings can live free from their manipulation and tyranny. The next few days were a blur of diplomatic negotiations and technological exchanges. The Galactic Confederation, it turned out, was a loose alliance of species that had managed to resist shadow influence over the ages. Each brought their own unique strengths and technologies to the table. Area found herself working closely with Jorak and his team, integrating Confederation tech with Haven's advanced systems and the battle-tested hardware of the Exodus fleet. The result was a hybridized force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The key, Dr. Voss explained during one late-night strategy session, is to fight the shadows on their own terms. We've developed a way to phase-shift our matter to partially exist in their realm. She demonstrated with a small device, causing her hand to shimmer and become translucent. With this technology, we can hurt them, really hurt them, for the first time. As the alliance took shape, Arya couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the scale of what they were undertaking. Humanity, long isolated and focused solely on survival and revenge, was now at the forefront of the Galactic coalition. But with this new purpose came new dangers. Shadow attacks increased in frequency and intensity, probing the defenses of Haven and its allies. It was clear that the enemy was aware of the threat this new alliance posed. During one particularly brutal assault, Arya found herself manning a gunner station alongside a Confederation warrior, a being of living crystal named Kyrex. As they fought off wave after wave of shadow vessels, Arya felt a sense of camaraderie that transcended species. "You fight well, human," Kyrex chittered, its crystalline form refracting the light of explosions. "Perhaps there is hope for us yet." Arya grinned, swinging their turret to take out another shadow probe. "We're just getting started," she replied. As the battle raged on, Admiral Novik's voice came over the comm. "All ships, fall back to Rally Point Alpha. Prepare for emergency jump." Arya's heart raced as she realized what was about to happen. The quantum entanglement drive, still in its experimental stages, was about to be put to the ultimate test. As the Allied fleet gathered, the massive engines of Haven Station hummed to life. Space itself seemed to bend and warp around them. And then, in a flash of blinding light, they were gone, leaving the shadow forces to attack empty space. When Arya's vision cleared, she gasped at the sight before her. They had emerged in a totally different sector of the galaxy, orbiting a blue-green planet that looked heart-achingly similar to Earth. "Welcome," Admiral Novik announced, her voice filled with emotion, "to Novaterra, our new home, and the headquarters of our resistance against the shadows." As Arya looked out at this new world, teeming with possibility, she felt a surge of hope unlike anything she had experienced before. The alliance had been forged in fire, tested in battle, and emerged stronger than ever. But she knew this was just the beginning. The real war, the fight for the very soul of the galaxy, was yet to come, and humanity, once the victims of cosmic forces beyond their control, would be at the vanguard. With a deep breath, Arya steeled herself for the challenges ahead. Whatever the shadows might throw at them, she knew that the combined strength of humanity and their new allies would be ready to face it head-on. The next phase of their grand strategy was about to begin, and Arya Chen, once a captain seeking vengeance, now found herself a key player in the greatest conflict the universe had ever known. The journey to redemption. The lush, vibrant world of Novaterra quickly became a beacon of hope for the fledgling alliance. As ships from the Exodus fleet and the Galactic Confederation descended to the surface, a new city began to take shape, a shining metropolis that represented the best of what each species had to offer. Captain Arya Chen stood on the balcony of the newly constructed Alliance headquarters, watching as anti-gravity platforms ferried materials and workers across the skyline. The sight of humans working alongside a myriad of alien species still filled her with a sense of wonder. "Quite a view, isn't it?" came a familiar voice. Arya turned to see Admiral Novik approaching, her silver hair gleaming in the light of Novaterra's twin suns. "It's incredible," Arya agreed. "I never thought I'd see anything like this in my lifetime." Novik's expression grew serious. "Enjoy it while you can, Captain. We've received intelligence that the shadows are massing for a major offensive. It's time to take the fight to them." Arya nodded, her jaw set with determination. "The Prometheus is ready, Admiral. Just give the word." "It's not just the Prometheus this time," Novik replied. "You'll be leading a joint task force, Operation Lightbringer." Your mission is to penetrate deep into shadow territory and locate their central nexus. The weight of the responsibility settled on Aria's shoulders. This wasn't just about humanity anymore. The fate of the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. The Prometheus underwent a series of upgrades, integrating Confederation technology with Haven's advanced systems. The result was a ship unlike any other, a perfect fusion of multiple civilizations' greatest achievements. As Aria oversaw the final preparations, she was joined by her new second-in-command, Zarak, a Confederation tactical expert whose species communicated through bioluminescent patterns rippling across their skin. "Your crew adapts quickly," Zarak observed, his skin flickering with patterns of admiration. "It is unexpected." Aria smiled. "If there's one thing humans are good at, it's adapting to the impossible." Finally, the day of departure arrived. The joint fleet assembled in Novaterra's orbit, a breathtaking array of ships from dozens of worlds, all united under a single banner. At its head, the Prometheus stood ready to make the first jump into the unknown. Admiral Novik's voice crackled over the comms. "Operation Lightbringer, you are cleared for departure. May the spirits of all our worlds go with you." With a flash of quantum energy, the fleet vanished from Novaterra's skies, embarking on a journey that would take them further than any of them had ever gone before. The first leg of their journey was uneventful, but as they penetrated deeper into uncharted space, the encounters with shadow forces became more frequent and more intense. Each skirmish was a test of the Alliance's newfound strength and unity. During one particularly harrowing battle, the Prometheus found itself cut off from the rest of the fleet, surrounded by shadow vessels that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Evasive maneuvers, Aria shouted as tendrils of dark energy lashed out at their ship. "Zarak, we need options." The alien tactical officer's skin pulsed with rapid-fire patterns. "Activating phase shift drive now, Captain." The Prometheus shimmered, partially shifting into the shadow realm. For a moment, Aria's vision swam as reality itself seemed to warp around them. When it cleared, they found themselves behind the enemy fleet, in perfect position for a counterattack. "All weapons, fire at will," Aria commanded. The Prometheus unleashed its full arsenal, beams of coherent light mixed with exotic particle weapons that tore through the shadow ships like they were made of smoke. In a matter of moments, the tide of battle had turned. As the rest of the Alliance fleet regrouped around them, Aria couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They were making progress, pushing back against an enemy that had once seemed invincible. But the deeper they ventured into shadow space, the stranger things became. Entire sectors of the galaxy were twisted and warped, barely recognizable as real space. The laws of physics seemed to break down, replaced by chaotic energies that defied comprehension. During a rare moment of quiet, Aria found Zarak in the ship's observation deck, his bioluminescent patterns swirling with what she had come to recognize as deep thought. "Credit for your thoughts?" she asked, joining him at the viewport. Zarak's skin rippled with a pattern that Aria's translator interpreted as a sigh. "I am concerned, Captain. The deeper we go, the more I fear we may be out of our depth." Aria nodded, understanding his apprehension. "I feel it too, but we've come too far to turn back now." As if in response to her words, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Captain, to the bridge." Lieutenant Reeves' voice called out urgently. Aria and Zarak raced to their stations, where they found the rest of the crew staring in awe at the main view screen. Before them loomed a massive structure, a swirling vortex of dark energy punctuated by flashes of otherworldly light. "Is that?" Aria began, her voice trailing off in wonder. Zarak's skin pulsed with confirmation. "The Shadow Nexus. We found it." As they watched, waves of energy pulsed out from the Nexus, washing over their ships. Systems flickered, and for a moment, Aria felt as though she could hear whispers at the edge of her consciousness. Alien thoughts filled with malevolence and hunger. "All ships, raise your mental shields," she ordered, remembering the training they had received from the more psychically adept members of the Confederation. "Prepare for total engagement." The battle that followed was unlike anything Area had ever experienced. It wasn't just a fight of weapons and tactics, but a struggle against reality itself. The space around the Nexus warped and twisted, sometimes causing entire ships to vanish and reappear in different locations. Through it all, the Alliance held firm. Humans fought alongside their alien comrades with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. For every ship they lost, the Shadows paid dearly. In the heart of the chaos, Area made a decision. "Xeroc, prep the phase shift drive. We're going in." Her alien second-in-command skin flashed with alarm. "Captain, the odds of survival are irrelevant." Area cut him off. "This might be our only chance. We have to take it." With grim determination, the crew of the Prometheus prepared for what might be their final mission. As the ship shimmered and began to phase into the Shadow Realm, Area sent out one last transmission to the fleet. "To all ships, no matter what happens, remember why we fight. For our homes, for our future, for redemption. It's been an honor serving with you all." With that, the Prometheus plunged into the heart of the Shadow Nexus, vanishing from normal space in a flash of quantum energy. The fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of a small crew of humans and aliens, united in their quest to end the shadow threat once and for all. As the familiar universe faded away, replaced by swirling patterns of darkness and light, Area Chen steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. The journey to redemption had led them here, to the very heart of the enemy's domain. Whatever the cost, she was determined to see it through to the end. The final battle for the fate of all sentient life was about to begin, and humanity would be at the forefront, ready to prove that their long exile had forged them into a force capable of facing even the darkest terrors of the cosmos. The battle begins. The Prometheus emerged from its quantum jump into a realm that defied description. The familiar stars and planets of normal space were gone, replaced by a swirling maelstrom of dark energy and fractured reality. Tendrils of shadow writhed around the ship, probing for weaknesses in its defenses. Captain Area Chen gripped her command chair, fighting against a wave of vertigo as her mind struggled to comprehend their surroundings. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Phase shift drive stable, Captain," Lieutenant Reeves reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "But our sensors are going haywire. I can't make sense of these readings." Xeroc's skin pulsed with rapid patterns of light, his alien physiology better suited to interpreting the bizarre environment. "We are within the Shadow Nexus," he announced. "The very fabric of space-time is malleable here." As if to emphasize his point, a section of the ship's hull seemed to ripple and distort, momentarily phasing out of existence before snapping back into place. Alarms blared as systems throughout the Prometheus flickered and struggled to maintain cohesion. "Engineering, reroute all available power to the phase shift drive and structural integrity field," Area ordered. "We need to stay solid if we're going to have any chance of completing the mission." As the crew worked feverishly to stabilize the ship, a massive shape began to coalesce in the swirling void before them. It was a structure of impossible geometry, constantly shifting and reforming, yet undeniably the source of the Shadow's power. "That's our target," Area said, her voice filled with grim determination. "Prep the quantum disruptor. We'll only get one shot at this." The quantum disruptor was the culmination of joint research between Haven scientists and Confederation engineers, a weapon designed to unravel the very fabric of shadow reality. But to use it, they would need to get dangerously close to the heart of the Nexus. As the Prometheus maneuvered into position, the void around them came alive with hostile energy. Shadow vessels, more organic than mechanical, emerged from the darkness. Unlike the probes they had faced before, these were the true forms of their enemy, beings of pure negative energy, antithetical to all life as they knew it. Evasive maneuvers, Area shouted as the first wave of attacks washed over their shields. The Prometheus dove and weaved through the assault, its hybrid technology allowing it to dance on the edge of multiple realities at once. Zarak's tactical brilliance shone as he coordinated their defenses, his bioluminescent commands guiding the crew with split-second precision. Human intuition combined with alien expertise, creating a synergy that allowed them to hold their own against seemingly impossible odds. But for every shadow vessel they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. The Prometheus shuddered under repeated impacts, its hull creaking as it was pushed to the very limits of its design. "Captain," Commander Wong called out, her voice tense, "the quantum disruptor is charged and ready. But our shields are failing. We won't survive another direct hit." Area's mind raced, weighing their options. They were so close to their goal, but the cost of failure was unthinkable. In that moment of crisis, she remembered the words of Admiral Novik. "Sometimes, to save everything, we must be willing to sacrifice anything." With a deep breath, Area made her decision. Divert all power from life support to the shields and weapons. "We're going in." A hush fell over the bridge as the implications of her order sank in. They would have minutes of breathable air, at most. But in those minutes, they had the chance to end the shadow threat once and for all. "It has been an honor," Zarak said, his skin glowing with a pattern that needed no translation. Respect, admiration, and shared purpose. Area nodded, feeling a surge of pride in her crew, human and alien alike. For Earth, for Novaterra, for every world that has suffered under the shadows. "Let's finish this." The Prometheus surged forward, its engines pushed beyond their design limits. Shadow vessels swarmed around them, their attacks growing more frenzied as they sensed the threat. But the ship pressed on, weathering each assault with grim determination. As they closed in on the heart of the Nexus, reality itself seemed to rebel against their presence. The view screen showed impossible geometries, glimpses of other dimensions, and horrors that threatened to overwhelm the sanity of those who gazed upon them. 20 seconds to optimal firing range. Lieutenant Reeves called out, his voice strained as the oxygen in the bridge grew thin. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, wrapping around the Prometheus and threatening to tear it apart. Area felt the ship bucking beneath her, systems failing across all decks. But still, they pressed on. 10 seconds. The heart of the Nexus loomed before them, a swirling vortex of pure chaos. Area could feel its pull, not just on the ship, but on her very soul. The whispers she had heard earlier grew to a deafening roar, promising power beyond imagination, if only she would surrender to the darkness. 5 seconds. With the last of her strength, Area forced herself to focus on the faces of her crew, on the memory of Earth, on the hope for a future free from shadow influence. "Fire," she commanded, her voice barely a whisper in the thin air. The quantum disruptor unleashed its payload, a beam of energy that defied the laws of physics. It struck the heart of the Nexus, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then, with a sound that could shatter worlds, the shadow Nexus began to collapse in on itself. The swirling vortex of dark energy imploded, reality rushing in to fill the void. Shadow vessels disintegrated, their connection to this plane of existence severed. As the shockwave approached the Prometheus, Area closed her eyes, content in the knowledge that they had succeeded. Whether they survived or not, the galaxy would be free. The wave hit, and the world went white. When Area opened her eyes, she was greeted by a sight she never expected to see again, the familiar starfield of normal space. The Prometheus floated amidst the debris of the shadow Nexus, battered but intact. We did it," Lieutenant Reeves said in disbelief, checking his readings. "The Nexus is gone. We're picking up transmissions from the Alliance fleet. The shadow forces are in full retreat across all sectors." A cheer went up from the crew, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten in the euphoria of victory. Area allowed herself a smile, feeling the weight lift from her shoulders that she had carried for so long. But as the adrenaline faded, she knew their work was far from over. The shadows might be defeated, but the scars they had left across the galaxy would take generations to heal. And humanity, so long focused on survival and vengeance, would need to find a new purpose. As the Prometheus limped back towards friendly space, Aria gazed out at the stars, no longer a void to be feared, but a frontier filled with possibility. The journey of redemption had led them here, to a victory beyond imagining. Now, the real work of building a better future could begin. The battle was won, but the greatest adventure, that of forging a true galactic community, was just beginning. And humanity, tested by fire and tempered by adversity, was ready to lead the way. The price of victory. The return of the Prometheus to Novaterra was met with a hero's welcome. As the battered ship limped into orbit, it was greeted by a flotilla of Alliance vessels, their crews cheering and broadcasting messages of congratulations across all frequencies. The dark shadow that had loomed over the galaxy for millennia had finally been lifted, and the architects of that victory were coming home. Captain Aria Chen stood on the bridge, watching the approaching planet with a mixture of exhaustion and disbelief. They had done it. They had actually done it. The shadows were defeated, and the future, once so bleak and uncertain, now stretched out before them, full of possibility. But as the initial euphoria of victory faded, the true cost of their success began to sink in. The Prometheus had left Novaterra with a crew of 300. It was returning with barely half that number. "Captain," Zorak said softly, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with a mixture of joy and sorrow, "the Admiral is requesting your presence planetside for an immediate debriefing." Aria nodded, straightening her uniform. "Have medical begin processing the wounded for transfer. And Zorak, prepare a list of the fallen. Their families deserve to know of their sacrifice." The landing bay was a chaos of reunion and celebration. As Aria stepped off the shuttle, she was immediately engulfed in a sea of beings, humans and aliens alike, all reaching out to touch the one who had led the mission to victory. It was overwhelming. And for a moment, Aria felt herself begin to crack under the weight of it all. A firm hand on her shoulder steadied her. Admiral Novak had appeared, her silver hair gleaming in the Novaterran sunlight. "This way, Captain," she said, guiding Aria through the crowd. "There's much to discuss." The debriefing was long and exhaustive. Aria recounted every detail of their journey into the Shadow Nexus, the impossible battles they had fought, and the final desperate gambit that had led to victory. As she spoke, she could see the weight of command settling on Admiral Novak's shoulders. "The shadows are defeated," Novak said when Aria had finished, "but not destroyed. We've driven them back, shattered their power base, but they're still out there. And now we have a galaxy to rebuild." Aria nodded, understanding the enormous task that lay ahead. "What's our next move, Admiral?" Novak's eyes sparkled with a determination that Aria had come to admire. "We forge a new future. The alliance that was born of necessity must now become something more, a true galactic community, and humanity will play a crucial role in shaping it." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the Shadow's defeat spread across the galaxy, worlds that had long been isolated or subjugated began to reach out. The Alliance found itself flooded with requests for aid, for membership, for guidance in navigating this new era of peace. Aria, much to her surprise, found herself at the center of it all. Her experiences in uniting the diverse crew of the Prometheus had made her an ideal candidate for diplomatic missions. She traveled from world to world, sharing the story of their victory and helping to forge connections between species that had never before met. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The power vacuum left by the Shadow's retreat led to conflicts in some sectors, as opportunistic warlords and would-be conquerors sought to carve out empires of their own. The Alliance fleet, with the Prometheus often at its head, was kept busy maintaining peace and protecting vulnerable worlds. Through it all, Aria was constantly amazed by the resilience and adaptability of her fellow humans, Centuries of exile had forged them into a people uniquely suited to this new era. They approached each new challenge with a combination of determination, creativity, and flexibility that often left their alien allies in awe. One evening, several months after their return from the Shadow Nexus, Arya found herself standing on the balcony of the newly constructed Galactic Council chambers on Novaterra. The city below was a testament to the new order they were building, a harmonious blend of architectural styles from 100 worlds, teeming with beings of all shapes and sizes. "Quite a view, isn't it?" came a familiar voice. Arya turned to see Zarok approaching, his skin glowing softly in the twilight. "It never gets old," Arya agreed, smiling at her friend and former second-in-command. "Sometimes, I still can't believe we made it here." Zarek's patterns shifted in what Arya had come to recognize as his equivalent of a thoughtful frown. "There are still challenges ahead. The shadows may be gone, but their influence lingers. And there are those who fear the rapid changes our victory has brought." Arya nodded, well aware of the murmurs of discontent that had begun to surface in some quarters. There were those who felt that humanity was gaining too much influence too quickly, who feared that they might become the new shadows, imposing their will on the galaxy. "We'll face those challenges as they come," Arya said firmly. "We've proven that we're stronger together than we ever were apart. Whatever the future holds, we'll meet it united." As if on cue, a brilliant streak of light cut across the sky. A ship entering the atmosphere. But unlike the days of old, this was no cause for alarm. It was simply another new arrival to Novaterra, another piece of the grand tapestry they were weaving. Arya's communicator chimed, and she knew without looking that it would be another call to action. Some new crisis to mediate, some new opportunity to seize. The work of building a better galaxy was never done. But as she prepared to dive back into the fray, Arya took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. From a scattered, vengeful people nursing ancient grudges, humanity had transformed into a linchpin of galactic peace. They had found not just redemption, but a new purpose, one that would guide them for generations to come. The price of victory had been high, paid in blood and sacrifice. But the reward, a future of unlimited potential, a galaxy united in the face of any threat, was beyond measure. As Arya stepped back into the council chambers, ready to face whatever new challenge awaited, she carried with her the memory of every soul lost in their long struggle. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. The dawn of a new era had broken, and humanity stood ready to lead the way into a brighter future for all. The story of their exile and return, their battles and triumphs, would be told and retold across 1,000 worlds. But for Arya Chen and those who had fought alongside her, the greatest story was the one they were still writing. A tale of unity, of hope, and of the indomitable spirit that had carried humanity from the ashes of a lost homeworld to the very heart of a reborn galaxy. The journey that had begun in fire and shadow had led them here, to a future blazing with light. And whatever challenges lay ahead, Arya knew one thing for certain: they would face them together, as one united galaxy.